Hello, Sam.
Hello, Sam.
Today's track, it seems, is the edge of destruction.
Yes.
I'd just like to ask why, if that's all right with you.
That's a very fair question. Because, the whole premise of this show is 45 minutes of Doctor Who, and the Edge of Destruction was one of the first ones I thought of.
It does fit our format. It fits our block.
It definitely fits the format in terms of time.
Content on the other side, less so.
So much happens in this. What are you talking about? It's action-packed.
Oh, man down.
I remember watching this as a kid because I got that, the beginning box set that has Unearthly Child, Daleks, and this. And when you get to this one, because you're coming off, Caveman, Dalek, Scarrow, and then it's just like this weird 1960s art film with really weird dialogue, and Susan's trying to stab everyone.
I will say this part one is shot very noir.
Yes, and the staging is weird. The way Ian is placed in the background, and the way Susan sort of creeps up. The camera is sort of always in motion. It's very weird.
The cinematography is actually active for once, but that's only in episode 1. We'll get into it. There's 2 directors on this story. The first one is Frank Cox, who is actually, knows what he's doing visually, not to be rude. And then Richard Martin, they just sort of fed him to the sharks. You direct episode 2. And he hadn't read the script or anything. So you'll see quite a big difference in the way the 2 stories look.
Right. Well, and wasn't this script also written in 2 days?
Oh, I believe it.
Look at Barbara's pants. Oh my god.
Oof! Showing some thigh on 1963 British television, Barbara. Oof.
Oof.
Bless David Whittaker for this script. It doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. It doesn't need to, I would argue.
Yeah, because we'll get to the ending reveal, and it sort of raises a lot of questions as to the characters' motivations, why they're acting the way they do, and what's happening to the TARDIS.
And what was the point of us watching any of this, mainly?
The ship, Chesterfield.
Chester Benningfield. This is the first time where the TARDIS is an active participant in things, where we spend a whole episode here. It's not just a plot delivery tool now it's an actual location.
And I believe it's also the first time that they insinuate that it's alive in a certain way. Yeah,
there's a line in part 2 where the Doctor says opening up the ship will release the heart of the thing and it'll escape. And that happens in Parting of the Ways, which is really, really sweet.
See, it's all connected.
Nobody's meant to do that, Barbara. You're gonna burn. You're going to burn, my dear.
And then he kisses Barbara, and then,
No, so you did watch the beginning box set. I avoided that DVD like the plague as a kid.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones I got, because I just really wanted to see, the initial sort of thing of what Doctor Who was. And I was sort of prepped for the crusty, first Doctor, as everyone sort of calls him. And I absolutely loved it. And I sort of rewatched the Daleks all the time. But why did you avoid it?
Well, I don't know about you, I had the Peter Cushing movies, so I was set. As far as I was concerned, I'd seen the beginning of Doctor Who. And I only got around to the original 3 stories a couple years ago when I was putting together the retrospectives.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's fun to do it non-chronologically.
I love how one of the main cruxes of the first episode's plot is the water machine. I really wish the water machine was, in every era of Doctor Who.
It's a crucial part of the plot. If the war machine's down, then we're in trouble. You mentioned a crusty Hartnell, and in fairness, I know that his Doctor isn't like that. This is the most crusty his Doctor is. He's got a nice little lesson to learn at the end. He shows a bit of humanity.
I would go beyond crusty to say borderline abusive in this.
It doesn't help that him and Susan in this are maniacs.
Yeah. Oh, literal
For no
maniacs.
reason. No explanation for it at all. I would call them the antagonists of this story. It's midnight, but the villain is just the Doctor, who's just lost it. Oh, now they're both down.
Now they're...
Jesus Christ. Such a melodramatic story, isn't it? That I think You can't call it a comedy because it's not.
Oh, God, no.
Even when that final twist comes, turns out it was all a massive anticlimax.
No one really talks about it, I've seen in Doctor Who circles. Like, everyone sort of talks about the twin dilemma or whatever as, like, one of the worst ones. But, like, I don't think anyone knows how to place this because it's such, like, a weird anomaly of almost nothing.
It doesn't offer anything other than a very cheap bottle episode. This is the cheap episode.
Well, on the water machine.
Oh, sorry, the war machine, yeah. It's
Not the war machine, the water machine.
Doctor Who and the water machine.
But that's sort of also, I was thinking about this when I was watching it last night. If you're a 1963 television writer, you've seen the script for Unearthly Child and the Daleks, and you're asked, okay, do an episode set in their spaceship. Like, what would you do? Just have them try and stab everyone.
Yeah.
That shot of Ian going over to the water machine and then it turns back and then Susan's up on the bed holding the scissors, I think is so wonderful and like very creepy.
It's very funny.
It is funny.
They got in a lot of trouble.
Oh.
Back in the 60s, this violent thing in a kid's show with something a kid could replicate in their own kitchen, etc., almost cancelled Doctor Who. It almost stopped the original crew right there and then. That's a very powerful set of scissors there.
Let me see what you have. No!
If this was sort of ended off at the end of the season, like, I don't think Doctor Who would go on. Like, if this is people's last memory of Doctor Who, like, what the fuck?
We can thank Marco Polo, of course, for bringing this story into existence. And that really all paid off, didn't it? All that brilliant, beautiful costume work on Marco Polo.
Yeah, you sort of have to be really engrossed in, as we are, like, Doctor Who production lore to sort of, like, kind of almost appreciate this. And, you know, there's no shortage of Hartnell flubs and, you know, weird production decisions throughout this.
I'm going to go on the defensive a bit. I think I'm going to be devil's advocate. Shit, this is unexpected. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
I'm getting into my big chair. There's just as many really well-shot moments. There's great acting, I think, from everyone. There's a great balance of lines. This episode does serve a purpose. Maybe I'll get into that into a bit. Also, William Hartnell delivers a great monologue at the end, with no stumbles or anything. And he's just amazing.
I will agree that monologue at the end is fantastic.
It's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything.
It's just
But-
you can tell David Whittaker probably wrote that and we're just like, okay, let's put it here.
But it's testament to Hartnell that he could make it play, and of course that you don't despise him by the end of the episode. That's a key.
Yeah, which is just sort of a credit to William Hartnell as an actor. There is sort of like, oh, I'm sorry for trying to throw you out into the void. Trying to murder this woman.
Trying to murder the school teacher I kidnapped.
But I think it is just his warmth and his sort of twinkle.
I'm amazed that in all the continuity additions over the last decades, no one added a reason why Susan went crazy with the scissors.
She's the war Susan.
Fuck you. I'm listening to that right now, and there is not a single explanation in Susan's War about it. Do you know why Susan goes on a scissor murder spree?
No, I don't. Because at the end, we'll get to the final anticlimax. And, like, I thought, oh, maybe there's, like, radiation or something. I don't know. But there's no reason.
Alien possession was what was on my
Yes,
brain.
because she hints at it here.
Has something gone into the TARDIS, that would have been something in a script. But no, they subvert the idea of a plot very bravely. Well, actually, in fairness, I like the ending. Even the cast and crew badmouth it by saying, oh, it's a massive anticlimax. But it's an episode about hysteria. Before this, the Doctor and Susan and Barbara and Ian are two different parties, aren't they? They haven't helped each other really in any of the adventures so far.
There's never that, like, actual push to, like, get them there. It's just kind of like, why wouldn't they all just sit down and talk about this reasonably?
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far to call it character work, but the fact that this would boil to the surface eventually, and it's happening now.
Yes.
I don't know, these are conversations which probably should be had in the program. We get to Marco Polo, and they're a unit. They're forced together as a unit in Marco Polo.
Right.
Also, go by the perspective of the viewer at the time. The Doctor has been responsible for every bad thing that's happened so far.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, he's an untrustworthy madman. Is there ever an explanation for why the TARDIS just shows photos of planets they've been before? Because I didn't catch that.
I don't know the reason. I know that the TARDIS... I don't think Whittaker knew the reason.
Yeah.
The TARDIS is trying to help them in a very general, broad sense.
Right.
By alerting them to the fact that there's a spring broken and the buttons are not working.
Spoilers.
Spoilers!
Spoilers. Boo.
Get off the stage! Why it doesn't just bring up an error code saying broken spring. I don't know. Instead it tries flashing like really surreal clock imagery at them.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But the script doesn't realise it's funny.
Just the dialogue is just so stilted at points.
Stilted and overly functional as well, I noticed.
Yes. And when you get to the second episode, like it's all just weird explanations and weird almost technobabble.
I really appreciate the way, like, from a production point of view, like, if Will Hartnell would famously say, my God, it's Macbeth, when looking at the lines and all the technobabble. So, William Russell has said that the three of them would, like, borrow lines, because they were always hungry for more stuff to say. They would swap lines, they would take some off each other's hands. And it's definitely why. When they were talking about that, I realised why I like one so much. Is because sometimes he is a secondary character. Sometimes he is further off in the distance. And I reckon that's the actors that kind of made that cool.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Salvador Dali has invaded the TARDIS.
Yeah. Oh, and here he is just casually drugging them. Nothing weird here. Here you go, my girl.
I love him so much.
Like, could you imagine if, like, fucking Jodie Whittaker just, like, drugged
Yes.
the fam?
Yes. Bad example.
And then she has some moral speech at the end, how it was the right thing to do, and no one else understands. So, Sam, is this the first time we're doing a commentary? No.
We did Tomb of the Cybermen probably, like, a year ago.
Yeah.
And down to me being a giant dick man, you could say, I didn't tell you that we were going to record it. So we just had a great time watching Tomb of the Cybermen talking over it with no audience.
It was like a nice practice.
Oh, it was more than that. It was good. It was a lost episode, Sam. If I could do a loose cannon reconstruction and just voice it myself, I would.
But then you would just keep saying Sam says this and Sam says that, and it would just be very
Yeah, I can see the problem.
confusing. Speaking of lost episodes,
Segway Sam.
here we go. A couple months ago, I was watching a lot of Josh Nair's videos and sort of got really obsessed with the missing episodes thing, as every Doctor Who fan does every once in a while. And I emailed the head of archiving at the CBC, because I'm Canadian, because I was curious, because I know Marco Polo was the last story the CBC showed. So I sent him an email asking about Marco Polo, and this is the email I got.
It reads, "It's gone, bitch."
I burnt it.
It's mid.
I forgot. Hi, Samuel. I have been feeling this question over and over again for 20 years. Sadly, there are no episodes of Doctor Who in my collection. Believe me, I have been searching. Just like the BBC, the CBC only kept tapes for the duration of the broadcast window. And then blah, 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 Nigeria, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, apparently that guy has just been getting emails for 20 years about Marco Polo.
Poor son. Good on him for being such a stand-up sport about it. You know what's wrong about me is that I would trade most of this season for Marco Polo.
Whoa, even the Daleks?
Yeah, well, you can have the last two episodes of the Daleks on their house.
I don't know. I would trade this easily, but that's not enough. That's like, I would give you like 20 minutes of Marco, or like 10 minutes of Marco Polo. We're actually getting more out of this than I thought, which is good.
I did my reading, and there just isn't a whole bunch to say on it. Like, everyone just collectively shrugs their shoulders, because it's the production team shrugging their shoulders in the 60s. I don't think it's that cut and dry.
Well, as you said, it's hysteria. Like, they're all trapped and with unfamiliar people, and they're trying to. Sorry. All right. Well, right as we were trying to talk it up.
He had to die, Barbara. He had to die. Mind crush. No. But what I can do to back up the psychological horror angle,
Get on your soapbox.
God, I can't believe I'm the guy who has to do this. Look at how much of a downgrade it is visually. It just shows you how pretty and how atmospheric the first episode was.
Yes, I would completely agree. And Susan and Barbara in weird cult robes for some reason.
We've all been here, though, haven't we? We've all been travelling with an old man who turned on us.
We tried to strangle him, and then I mean, it's a tale as old as time itself.
When a party sesh goes bad, when it goes wrong, the lights come on, and we have to start pointing fingers. What conceivable reason could the Doctor have for thinking the humans want to steal the ship from him? He's a paranoid maniac.
My ship is very valuable, remember?
No, he's saying it's valuable. He's saying his ship is valuable.
They're gonna sell it. I mean, this story essentially serves as a prequel to Marco Polo, and more so how they get their winter clothes. That's really the only purpose of this story.
Grandfather, I'm out of focus. It's the head wound, my dear.
Well, I was thinking, like, if, for example, if this was missing and we only had the audio of it, how would have this been regarded? Like, I think it could go two ways. I think it could go, this is super boring, like, what even is this? Or,
what's happening? Yeah.
But your mind could sort of, like, very atmospheric and sort of picture a more dynamic setting and very creepy and, more film noir in your mind than obviously a 1960s TV budget could do.
Instead of throwing a watch, Barbara screams at the idea of time coming apart. Because that's what the script's trying to do, but with literally no money involved beyond paying the actors.
And building the water machine. Sorry, I love the water machine so much.
So I've searched up the food machine on the TARDIS wiki.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to know. You just don't want to know how long this page is.
Is there going to be a bro canon on the food machines and the TARDIS? I'd watch that.
I don't even think I'm that desperate,
That's like season 5.
Oh, God. The food machine's gone sentient, Doctor. You're gonna have to throw it out. Brilliant. This will plug the canonical lack of it in the later 70s serials. Great thinking, my boy. I'll give that one to John Dorney. Fucking hell. They recently gave another dramatic sob story send-off to Chameleon.
Yes.
So that's about even in my books. Chameleon and the food machine.
Okay. Actually, yeah, that's the next Big Finish box set. Four seasons done. Chameleon and the food machine.
I'm imagining like a Wallace and Gromit style contraption, and it's actually, the idea's growing on me now. It's quite sweet.
If Winston Churchill can get a box set, why can't the food machine?
This started off as an ironic joke, and it really isn't anymore.
Briggs is already writing it.
He's got my place wiretapped, I swear.
So the BBC recently announced that the deal with BBC America is finished, so we won't be seeing any missing episodes animated for a while.
I feel like I can't comment because I spent most of my time with them shit-talking them. So I can't... I'm not the guy for this one. But it is a shame. At least we're getting Abominable. That's all I can say.
But raises the question, again, if Edge of Destruction was missing, would it be animated? No is the answer.
Fusing, coagulating, until minute little collections of matter are created, until dust is formed. Dust then becomes solid entity.
Okay, so he's chatting shit. He's saying absolute nonsense. But isn't that the point? That he's got this massive theory about all of time and space coalescing around them and it all being the edge of destruction. But it really is just a system error and he left a button on. and a spring needs replacing.
The characters within the story create this beautiful, like, high concept sci-fi idea of the TARDIS being trapped simultaneously at the beginning of time and the end of time, and
Or something vaguely along those lines.
something vaguely, yeah. Never directly said, but it actually, oh no, it's just the spring broke.
How is that not intentional? I think that's a flourish, whilst most people call it an anticlimax. Because otherwise, it's not a story about cabin fever, it's a story about a Moffat-style Big Bang happening. Their enemies in this are themselves.
I think it was better written than it's just like, oh, we were panicking over a spring.
Oh no, it's the felt tip. They wrote that in felt tip, Sam.
When I put my thumb on there, the light comes on. And it only stays on so long as my thumb is pressing that switch.
Oh, and the doctor mansplains how a flashlight works to Susan.
Oh, grandfather, we almost murdered my school teachers. We'll all be laughing about this later. And now. Now, the spring might be broken, but I'm much more concerned about the TARDIS walls that need ironing. They are soaking up a beautiful set. You can't blame them for that, at the very least.
Oh no, I love.
Do a bottle episode. You're usually not treated to such a cool location.
You know, we have a very extensive wardrobe here. We must look after you, you know. You're very valuable.
Imagine your friend is just like, hey, look, I'm sorry I drugged you and my granddaughter tried to stab you. I'm sorry I tried to throw you out into space. But hey, look at this coat.
Ah, there's the twinkle. That's why we still invite Grandpa around for Christmas, isn't it? That's it there. That's it there. Right, look at that. Back in, nothing to see here. If we went out there, I fear we'd get quite lost, my boy, even, you could say.
Yeah.
Then they stepped outside and stepped back inside because there was nothing much to see.
And then next is Keys of Marinus.
Oh my god, Keys of Marinus survived, but markup, sorry.
That's the trade.
In a way, this is our bottle episode.
This is our edge of destruction in many ways.
What a statement.